There comes a moment in life when you realize you are not who you thought you were. Everything you've been taught, everything you've believed about yourself, has been shaped by the past, by conditioning, experiences, and stories that were never truly yours. But what if you could let it all go? What if you could dissolve the limitations, the doubts, the old patterns that have kept you small? What if you could step beyond the familiar, beyond fear, beyond everything you thought defined you, and awaken as something greater? This is the art of unbecoming. How to release the old self and step into the quantum field. A book written and published by Mindful Literary, created to guide you through the most powerful transformation of all, the process of remembering who you truly are. In this journey, you won't just learn how to change your thoughts. You won't just learn how to reprogram your mind. You will learn how to break free from the illusion of limitation itself. And as you listen, if this message resonates, if something deep within you awakens, remember, this knowledge is meant to be shared. By liking, subscribing, and sharing this audiobook, you help bring this wisdom to more people who are ready to step into their highest potential. Now take a deep breath. Let go of everything you think you know. And let's begin the journey of unbecoming, so that you can finally become everything you were meant to be. Introduction: The Art of Unbecoming. Let me tell you a story. A story about a man who had everything: wealth, status, power. A man whose name carried weight, whose presence commanded attention. He had spent his life climbing a mountain that society told him was worth climbing. But one day, standing at the summit, looking down at the world below, he felt nothing. Not joy, not fulfillment, not peace, just emptiness. And in that moment, a terrifying thought hit him. I have spent my whole life building a self that was never truly mine. That man's name was Siddhartha Gautama. You probably know him as the Buddha. His story is one of the greatest acts of unbecoming the world has ever seen. He walked away from the identity given to him, prince, ruler, future king, and into the unknown. He stripped himself of every attachment, every title, every piece of conditioning that told him who he was supposed to be. And only when there was nothing left, no labels, no ego, no illusion, did he finally understand himself. This is not just a story about an ancient sage. This is about you. Maybe you don't wear royal robes or rule a kingdom. Maybe your life looks nothing like his. But if you're here, reading this book, then I know one thing for sure. There is a part of you that is ready to let go. Maybe it's the identity you've been holding on to, the one shaped by family expectations, past mistakes, or the need to fit in. Maybe it's the version of you that has been running on autopilot, reacting instead of choosing. Maybe it's the fear that if you let go of the old self, there will be nothing left. But what if, like Siddhartha, what's waiting for you on the other side of this letting go is everything? This book is not about self-improvement. It's about self-dismantling. You will not become someone new. You will unbecome everything you are not. Right now, you are playing a role. You don't think you are, but you are. From the moment you were born, you were given a script, a name, a set of beliefs, a role in the family dynamic. You were told who you were supposed to be, taught what was acceptable, conditioned to think in a certain way. And without realizing it, you became a character in a story you never actually wrote. Think about it. How much of what you believe about yourself was truly chosen by you? Your name was given to you. Your beliefs were taught to you. Your personality was shaped by experiences you didn't control. Maybe you grew up in a home where love was conditional, and so you learned that to be loved, you had to achieve. Maybe you were taught that your worth was tied to how much you could provide, so now you define yourself by your productivity. Maybe you were hurt, betrayed, abandoned, and now, without even realizing it, you wear your pain as an identity. And so here you are, living as someone shaped more by your past than by your possibility. But here's the truth no one tells you. Everything you think you are is just a story, and you are free to let it go. The problem is, letting go of an identity feels like death. And in a way, it is. Because to unbecome who you are not, you have to be willing to dissolve the self you've spent years building. That's terrifying, but it's also the most liberating thing you will ever do. Because once the false self falls away, you will finally meet the real you. This book is not about helping you become a better version of yourself. It's about showing you that who you thought you were was never real in the first place. It's about unraveling the old narratives, peeling back the layers of conditioning, and stepping into the limitless, boundless being that exists underneath. In these pages, you will learn how to identify the illusions that have shaped your identity and dismantle them one by one, how to rewire your subconscious mind so that you stop running on autopilot and start creating your reality. How to step into the quantum field, the place where infinite possibilities exist, and align yourself with the highest version of who you are. But more than that, this book will show you something far greater. It will show you how to let go. Let go of the weight you've been carrying. Let go of the need to be anything other than free. Let go of the old self so that you can step into something far greater. By the time you reach the last page, you won't just think differently. You will be different. And more than that, you will finally be free. I need to ask you something. Not just a surface-level question, but one that might shake something inside you. Are you truly ready to let go? Because this book is not for the version of you who wants to stay the same. It's not for the part of you that craves comfort and certainty. This book is for the part of you that has always known. I am more than this. If you are ready to step into the unknown, if you are willing to walk through the fire of unbecoming, then let's begin. Because on the other side of this journey, the real you is waiting. This is not just a book you read. This is a book you experience. A book that undoes you. And if you allow it, it will take you deeper than you've ever gone. Welcome to the Art of Unbecoming. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Illusion of Identity. Who are you? Really? Let's strip everything away for a moment. No labels. No past. No story. If you couldn't say your name, your job, or anything about your history, how would you define yourself? Most people pause at that question. Their minds scramble for an answer, something tangible to cling to. It's unsettling, isn't it? Because the truth is, we don't really know who we are. Not because we're lost, but because we've been taught to define ourselves by things that were never truly ours to begin with. Think about it. From the moment you took your first breath, you were given a name, a label you had no say in. You were placed in a family, a culture, a system of beliefs, all before you had the ability to choose any of it for yourself. And from that point forward, your identity was shaped by forces outside of you. Your parents told you what was right and wrong, what was possible or impossible. Your teachers reinforced what success looked like, what intelligence meant. Your culture defined beauty, worth, and social expectations. Your experiences layered on top of all of that, reinforcing ideas about yourself that weren't even your own. Without realizing it, you became a product of your environment, rather than a creation of your own choosing. And now here you are, a collection of roles, expectations, and unconscious beliefs that have shaped the way you see yourself. But what if all of it was just a story? What if who you think you are is nothing more than a carefully constructed illusion? Let's do a quick thought experiment. Imagine a little girl who grows up hearing her parents say, she's shy. Every time she hesitates before speaking, every time she looks away in a crowded room, the adults around her confirm it. You're so quiet. You've always been that way. You must be an introvert. And so, without questioning it, she adopts this label. It becomes part of her identity. Not because it's true, but because she has absorbed it. By the time she's an adult, she doesn't even question it. She turns down opportunities to speak up in meetings, avoids social events, and tells herself, I've never been good at making friends. But what if none of that was real? What if, as a child, she simply had a moment of hesitation, but because the world reflected it back to her over and over, she believed it was who she was? Now take a second to reflect. What labels have you accepted as truth about yourself? I'm not creative. I'm bad at relationships. I'll never be wealthy. I have to work harder than others to succeed. I'm just not that kind of person. Where did these ideas come from? Did you consciously choose them? Or did you inherit them from someone else? Because if you didn't choose them, then they are not yours to carry. And yet, here you are, living inside an identity that was shaped more by external influences than by your own truth. Here's the paradox. Even when our identity causes us pain, we hold on to it like our life depends on it. Why? Because the ego craves familiarity. Your mind would rather keep you in a known state of suffering than venture into an unknown state of freedom. It doesn't matter if the identity you've built is limiting. It's predictable, and that makes it feel safe. Think about it. If you've spent years believing that you're not enough, then your ego has built a life around proving that belief right. That relationships always end in disappointment. Then you subconsciously create experiences that confirm that story. That success is hard to attain, then you make choices that ensure you will struggle for it. Not because you want to suffer, but because to let go of these beliefs would mean stepping into uncertainty. And the unknown is terrifying, because in the unknown, the ego has no control. Picture this. You're standing in front of a door. Behind you is everything you've ever known. Your habits, your fears, your past mistakes, the identity you've carefully crafted. Beyond the door is something completely different. A new version of you. One that isn't bound by the past. One that isn't trapped by old fears. One that is free. But to step through, you have to let go. You can't bring your old self with you. And that's where most people freeze. Because who are you without your past? Who are you without the wounds that have defined you? Who are you without the story of struggle or rejection or failure? And more importantly, who do you become when none of that is holding you back anymore? This is where most people turn around. Because even if the past is painful, it's comfortable. Even if the old identity is suffocating, at least it's familiar. So they stay. They stay in the same patterns, the same limiting beliefs, the same cycle of wanting to change, but never quite taking the leap. But that's not why you're here, is it? You picked up this book because something inside you knows there's more. Something inside you is ready to step through that door. So, here's where we begin. Not by adding something new, but by unlearning everything that isn't you. By questioning every belief, every assumption, every identity you've been carrying without realizing it. Ask yourself, who told me I had to be this way? If I wasn't afraid of losing my identity, what would I let go of? If I had no past, no history, who would I choose to be? Because make no mistake, you can choose. You can let go of the labels. You can dissolve the old self. You can rewrite the script. But first, you have to be willing to see through the illusion. And that's exactly what we're going to do next. I'll warn you now. The moment you start questioning your identity, your ego will panic. It will resist. It will tell you, this is who I am. This is just the way it is. It will try to pull you back into the familiar, because that's what it does. But if you can push through that resistance, if you can sit with the discomfort of unbecoming, you will finally see what has been waiting for you all along. Your true self. And trust me, they are worth meeting. Chapter 2. The Subconscious Mind as the Architect of Reality. The house you didn't know you were living in. Imagine waking up one morning to find yourself inside a house you don't remember building. The walls are lined with old photographs, some familiar, some strange. There are rooms filled with emotions, one overflowing with fear, another locked tight, hiding memories you barely recall. You wander through the halls, touching objects, sensing echoes of conversations from long ago. As you stand in the middle of this place, something dawns on you. This house, this structure of beliefs, reactions, and patterns, is the mind you've been living in your entire life. And the strangest part, you didn't build it. At least, not consciously. Most of it was constructed before you had the awareness to question anything. The foundation was laid by the words of your parents, the experiences of your childhood, the whispers of culture and society. And yet, here you are, living inside its walls, moving through its rooms, following the pathways laid out for you without ever wondering, do I really want to live here? Because what if the beliefs that have shaped your reality were never truly yours? What if you've spent years reacting to life through a filter that was programmed into you, without your permission? Here's something most people don't realize. By the time you wake up in the morning, your mind is already on autopilot. You reach for your phone. You check the notifications. You get out of bed, brush your teeth, make your coffee, all without a single conscious thought. And then it goes deeper. You have the same types of conversations. You react the same way to challenges. You repeat the same emotional cycles, feeling the same frustrations, anxieties, or doubts, because your subconscious is running the show. Science tells us that 95% of our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors are driven by subconscious programming. Think about that. 95%. That means, for most people, only 5% of their life is truly created by conscious choice. The rest? It's a script written by experiences, conditioning, and deeply ingrained beliefs that were installed before you even knew how to think for yourself. And if you don't wake up to this, you will spend your life repeating the past, believing you're making new choices, when in reality, you're just acting out old programming. Let's go back. Picture yourself as a child. Maybe you're 5 years old, maybe younger. You're still new to the world, absorbing everything like a sponge. At this age, your brain is in a highly suggestible state, operating mostly in theta waves, meaning everything you hear, see, and experience gets imprinted directly into your subconscious. Now imagine, you reach out for love, and you're ignored. You express an idea, and you're told it's wrong. You try something new, and you're met with criticism. What do? You adapt. You learn. Maybe if I'm quiet, I'll be accepted. Maybe if I work hard enough, I'll be worthy. Maybe if I don't ask for too much, I won't be a burden. And just like that, a belief is formed. And it doesn't just stay in childhood. These beliefs become the operating system for your entire life. By the time you're an adult, you're no longer consciously choosing how to think. You're simply reacting based on past programming. Here's something wild. The subconscious doesn't know the difference between the past and the present. If you were abandoned as a child, your subconscious still scans every relationship for signs of rejection. If you were shamed for expressing emotions, your subconscious still tenses up anytime vulnerability arises. If you were taught that money is hard to come by, your subconscious still finds ways to create struggle, even when opportunities are present. The subconscious creates patterns, and once a pattern is in place, it runs on repeat like a broken record. Ever wonder why you keep attracting the same kind of relationships? Why you always sabotage success, just as things start to go well? Why you feel stuck in the same emotional loops, despite your best efforts to change? It's because your subconscious is loyal to the past. And until you become aware of these patterns, you will keep living them. So, how do you start waking up from the script? How do you stop being a character in a story you didn't write and start authoring your own reality? The first step is awareness. Here's an exercise: the pattern inventory. Grab a notebook and answer these questions honestly. What are the 3 biggest struggles in your life right now? Relationships, money, self-worth, etc. What stories do you tell yourself about these struggles? I always mess things up. I never have enough. People always disappoint me. Where did these stories come from? Can you trace them back to a childhood experience or repeated message? What patterns do you see? Have you experienced this struggle more than once? Is there a familiar cycle? What would happen if you stopped believing this story? How would your reality shift? When you start to see the invisible strings that have been pulling you, you begin to realize you are not your past. You are not your programming. You are not the child who learned to survive in a world they didn't choose. And if you are not your past, then that means you can change. Right now, your subconscious is like a record playing the same old song. But here's the truth no one told you. You can change the song. You can reprogram your subconscious. You can install new beliefs, create new patterns, and step into a version of yourself that is no longer bound by the past. In the next chapter, we're going to dive deeper into how to break the habit of being your old self, and how to step into the quantum field, where all possibilities exist. But for now, just sit with this one thought. Everything you believe about yourself was given to you, which means you can let it go. And once you do, the person waiting underneath, they are limitless. Let's keep going. Chapter 3. The energy of the old self. The frequency you don't know you're broadcasting. Imagine you're standing in the middle of a crowded street, holding an old radio. The static crackles, but when you turn the dial, the noise settles into a familiar song. This song has been playing for years. It's the song of your old self, the collection of emotions, thoughts, and beliefs that you've carried for so long that they've become your personal frequency. Without realizing it, every morning when you wake up, you tune into this same station. Maybe it's the station of stress. The moment you open your eyes, your mind starts racing. Worries about money, work, relationships, unfinished tasks. Maybe it's the station of unworthiness. That low hum of self-doubt that whispers, you're not enough. You never were. Maybe it's the station of regret, replaying old mistakes like a sad song stuck on repeat. And because this frequency feels familiar, your body craves it like an addiction. But here's what no one ever told you. Just like that radio, you have the power to change the station. Because you are not your past frequency. You are not your old self. And in this chapter, you're going to learn how to break free. Most people think change happens through effort, through forcing new habits, setting goals, and grinding through resistance. But there's something deeper at play. Your thoughts and emotions create an electromagnetic field that shapes the reality around you. This isn't just a spiritual idea, it's physics. Every thought you have sends an electrical signal out into the world. Every emotion you feel generates a magnetic field that draws experiences back to you. Together, your thoughts and emotions create a signature frequency, one that locks you into certain patterns and possibilities. Think of it like a Wi-Fi signal. If you're connected to a low-frequency network, fear, anxiety, doubt, you can only access the experiences that match that signal. If you want to create a new reality, You don't just need new thoughts, you need a new energetic signature. Let's get real for a second. If stepping into a new life were as simple as thinking positive, wouldn't everyone be living their dream life by now? But here's the truth. Your brain and body are addicted to your old self. And like any addiction, breaking free isn't just about making a decision. It's about rewiring your entire system. How your body becomes addicted to emotions. Your body doesn't just process emotions, it memorizes them. Every time you feel an emotion like stress, anxiety, or unworthiness, your brain releases neurochemicals that flood your system. And just like a drug, the more you experience these emotions, the more your body craves them. Over time, fear becomes familiar, so you unconsciously seek situations that confirm it. Doubt becomes comfortable, so you sabotage opportunities before they can work out. Stress feels like home, so you stay busy, overworked, and overwhelmed because relaxing feels wrong. This is why so many people struggle to change. They're not just trying to break a mental habit, they're fighting against a chemical addiction. And just like quitting caffeine or sugar, your body will resist. The moment you try to feel something new, joy, peace, confidence, your body will say, "This isn't normal. Go back to what's familiar." But familiar does not mean true, and comfortable does not mean free. If you've spent years broadcasting the frequency of fear, doubt, or lack, you don't just wake up one morning and become a new person, but you can start to change the signal. And here's how. Number 1. Identify your default frequency. Before you can change your energy, you need to see it clearly. Ask yourself, what emotion do I wake up feeling most days? What thoughts do I repeat about myself and my life? If my life had a theme song, what would it sound like? These patterns aren't just thoughts. They're electromagnetic signals that shape your reality. And once you see them for what they are, you can start to disrupt them. Number 2. Interrupt the emotional loop. The next time you feel your old emotions creeping in, stress, fear, insecurity, do something unexpected. Stand up and shake out your body. Put on a song that makes you feel powerful. Take 10 deep breaths and drop your shoulders. Walk outside and remind yourself that you are not your past. This might sound simple, but breaking an emotional loop isn't about deep analysis. It's about pattern disruption. Because the moment you interrupt the old frequency, you create space for something new. Number 3. Create a new signature emotion. Once you've disrupted the old frequency, it's time to tune into something different. Here's the trick. You have to feel it before you see it. Most people think, I'll feel happy once my life changes. But it's the opposite. Your life changes once you start feeling differently. So right now, take a moment. Close your eyes. Think of a future where you are completely free. Free from doubt. Free from fear. Free from the past. How does that version of you feel? How do they stand? How do they breathe? Step into that emotion. Make it real. Because the longer you hold that feeling, the more your body starts to memorize it. And once your body memorizes a new emotion, your reality will begin to shift to match it. There will come a moment when you realize something profound. You don't have to wait for the future to feel different. You don't have to fix everything before you allow yourself peace. You can change your energy now. Because the moment you shift your frequency, your reality has no choice but to shift with you. The old self is a song that has played for long enough. Are you ready to change the station? Because the next chapter is where things get real. We're stepping into the quantum field, the space where infinite possibilities exist. And if you're ready to break free from the old energy, then trust me, you're going to love what comes next. Chapter 4. Breaking the Habit of Being You. The Prison of Repetition. Let me ask you a question. How different was today from yesterday? Not just in the obvious ways. Sure, maybe you had a different breakfast or took a new route to work. But internally, in the way you thought, felt, and reacted. How different were you? If you're like most people, the answer is not much. You probably woke up and checked your phone the same way. You probably had the same general thoughts, some anxious, some hopeful, some automatic. You probably interacted with people the same way, reacted to challenges the same way, and carried the same emotional tone throughout the day. And tomorrow, if nothing changes, it will be the same. Here's the hard truth. Most people don't live 70 years. They live 1 year 70 times. Why? Because who we think we are, our habits, our reactions, our beliefs, are nothing more than patterns on repeat. Patterns so deeply ingrained that we mistake them for our personality. But here's what no one tells you. Personality is not who you are. Personality is who you've practiced being. And the moment you realize that, you can start practicing someone new. We tend to think of personality as something fixed. I'm just like this. It's who I am. But that's not true. Your personality is a set of deeply wired habits of thinking, feeling, and acting that your brain has memorized over time. Think of it like this. If you've spent years reacting with frustration, your brain fires neural pathways for frustration automatically. If you've spent years feeling unworthy, your nervous system expects and seeks situations that reinforce that feeling. If you've spent years avoiding risk, your body has hardwired the habit of hesitation. And these patterns are so familiar, so automatic, that they feel like who we are. But they're not. They're just who we've practiced being. Here's where it gets even wilder. Neuroscience tells us that 95% of what we think, feel, and do every day is unconscious. That means you're not choosing your reactions. You're not choosing your emotions. You're not even choosing most of your thoughts. They are simply firing on autopilot based on past experiences and conditioning. Your brain is running an old script. And if you don't interrupt it, you will keep thinking the same thoughts, feeling the same emotions, and making the same choices. And here's the kicker. If you keep thinking the same thoughts, you will keep creating the same reality. Because thoughts shape perception. Perception shapes action. Action shapes results. And if you want a new reality, you need to start by thinking in a new way. But how? How do you break the habit of being your old self? Let me show you. Step 1. Catch the pattern. The first step is awareness. You can't change what you can't see. So, today, I want you to start noticing your automatic habits, not just physical ones, but mental and emotional ones. What emotions do you wake up with? What thoughts do you repeat throughout the day? How do you react to small frustrations? Where do you always hesitate? Most of the time, these habits are so fast, so automatic, that you don't even realize they're happening. So slow down. Watch yourself. Because the moment you see the pattern, you weaken its hold. Step 2. Interrupt the old self. Now that you can see the patterns, it's time to break them. Here's the trick. The brain hates uncertainty. And because of that, it will always push you toward what feels familiar, even if that familiar thing is painful or limiting. That means when you try to change, your brain will resist. You'll feel uncomfortable. You'll want to go back to the old way. Your body will crave its familiar emotional cycles. But this is where change happens. So here's what I want you to do. When you catch yourself in an old reaction, interrupt it. If you feel anger rising, stop and take a deep breath. If you hear your inner critic, say, "Nope, not today." If you find yourself making the same excuse, say, "What if I did the opposite?" It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be different. Because every time you interrupt an old pattern, you create space for a new one. Step 3. Rehearse the future you. Most people live in the past. They wake up and immediately think about yesterday, what went wrong, what they regret, what they fear. And by doing so, they bring the past into the present over and over again. But if you want to change, you have to start living in the future. And not just any future, the one where you are free. The future self-visualization. Here's a powerful exercise. Close your eyes. Imagine yourself 1 year from now. This version of you has broken free. They've let go of the old self. They radiate confidence, ease, joy. How do they think? How do they feel? How do they move? Now step into their body. Feel it. Let it become real in your mind. And when you open your eyes, start acting like that person now. Not someday. Now. Because the sooner you embody the new you, the sooner your reality will shift to match it. Right now, you are at a crossroads. You can wake up tomorrow and repeat today. Same thoughts, same emotions, same patterns. Or you can wake up and say, "Today, I will think something new. I will feel something new. I will be someone new." Because in the end, your reality is not built by fate. It is built by the habits of your mind. And when you break the habit of being your old self, you make room for the real you to emerge. And that person, they are limitless. Chapter 5. Releasing Emotional Attachments. The chains you can't see. Imagine you're walking through life with invisible ropes tied around your wrists, your ankles, even your heart. Each rope connects to something. Someone from your past, an old wound, a regret, a betrayal. Some ropes are thin, barely noticeable. But others, they pull tight. They hold you back when you try to move forward. And maybe, without realizing it, you've spent years carrying the weight of these unseen attachments. But here's the truth. You are not meant to be tied to the past. You are not meant to relive the same heartbreak, the same anger, the same disappointments over and over again. And yet, if you don't consciously let go, your emotions will keep you stuck in an energetic loop, repeating the past like a song that won't stop playing. So the question is, how do you finally break free? Most people believe the past is gone, that it lives only in memory. But if that were true, why does a single thought about an old betrayal still make your stomach tighten? Why does a past failure still whisper in your mind when you try something new? Why does a name, a place, a smell still transport you back to something you thought you moved on from? Because the past doesn't live in time. It lives in your body. When you experience something emotionally intense, whether it's pain, anger, or love, your brain and nervous system memorize it. That's why the moment something reminds you of that past experience, your body reactivates the same emotions as if it's happening all over again. This is how emotional attachments work. They don't just stay in your mind, they stay in your energy field. And until you learn how to release them, they will continue to shape your reality, pulling you back into old cycles and patterns. Think of a time when someone hurt you. Maybe it was a relationship that ended badly. Maybe it was a parent who never saw you. Maybe it was a moment where you felt deeply rejected, deeply unseen. Now ask yourself, how much energy have you spent carrying that pain? How many thoughts, conversations, and sleepless nights have been wrapped around something that is no longer happening? The pain is real, yes, but it has also become a prison. And here's the hardest truth. The more you hold on to the past, the more you recreate it. Not because you want to, but because your emotions are signals to the universe, constantly attracting experiences that match your internal state. That means, if you're still carrying anger from an old relationship, you will keep attracting people who trigger it. If you're still carrying shame from a past mistake, you will keep manifesting situations that reinforce that shame. If you're still carrying grief, your energy will resist joy, because it's still holding on to loss. This is why letting go isn't just about healing. It's about freeing yourself to create a different future. And that's exactly what we're going to do next. Step 1. The power of forgiveness, and why it's not what you think. Forgiveness is one of the most misunderstood concepts in the world. People think forgiveness means saying, "It's okay. What you did doesn't matter." But that's not what forgiveness is. Forgiveness doesn't mean excusing someone. It doesn't mean letting them back in. It doesn't even mean they deserve it. Forgiveness is a decision to stop carrying the weight. It is choosing to untie the emotional cord between you and the person or experience that is keeping you stuck. Not for their sake, for yours. Because as long as you refuse to forgive, you are energetically tied to the pain. So ask yourself, who am I still carrying in my heart, even though they are no longer in my life? What pain am I feeding every time I replay this story? What would it feel like to finally let it go? You don't need to have a conversation. You don't need an apology. You just need to make the choice to release it. Try this. Close your eyes. Imagine the person or situation. See the cord that connects you. And now cut it. See it dissolve. Feel the weight lift. This is the beginning of liberation. Step 2. Detachment. How to stop being controlled by your emotions. Detachment does not mean not caring. Detachment means not being controlled. Most people let emotions dictate their reality. They feel something and immediately react, without realizing they have a choice. But you are not your emotions. Your emotions are whether passing through, temporary, changing, influenced by external forces. So instead of reacting, try this. Observe the emotion. When you feel a strong reaction, pause. Take a breath. Name it. Instead of saying, "I'm angry," say, "I am experiencing anger." This creates distance. Feel it fully. Emotions that are suppressed don't go away. They get stored. Let yourself fully feel the emotion, then watch as it dissolves. The moment you stop identifying with emotions, they lose their control over you. And that is true power. Step 3. Energetic cord cutting, freeing yourself from past attachments. Sometimes, emotional ties go deeper than just memory. Some people and experiences leave an energetic imprint on us, lingering long after they're gone. This is why you can still feel the presence of an ex long after they're out of your life. Why certain places, songs, or objects can pull you back emotionally to something painful. These are energetic cords, and they need to be cut. How to cut an emotional cord. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Picture the person or experience that still lingers in your energy. Now visualize a cord connecting you to them. See yourself holding a blade, scissors, or even light in your hands. Cut the cord. Watch it dissolve. Take a deep breath and say, I release you. You no longer have power over me. I reclaim my energy. You might feel lighter immediately, or you might need to do this several times. Either way, the more you release, the more space you create for something new. You do not owe your past your energy. You do not owe your pain your loyalty. You do not owe anyone from your past a permanent place in your heart. Letting go is not about forgetting. It's about freeing yourself. And now, as we move forward, we step into something new. Because the next chapter is where we take it even deeper, breaking the fear of the unknown and stepping into the space of infinite possibilities. Are you ready? Let's go. Chapter 6. Overcoming the fear of the unknown. Standing at the edge of everything. Close your eyes for a moment and picture yourself standing at the edge of a cliff. Behind you is everything you've ever known. Your past, your beliefs, your identity, the predictable patterns of your life. Ahead of you? Nothing. Just open space. The vast unknown. And here's where fear creeps in. Because the mind hates uncertainty. The moment we step beyond the familiar, our survival instincts kick in. The ego screams, what if I fall? What if I lose everything? What if I make the wrong choice? But here's the paradox of transformation. You must lose yourself to find yourself. The version of you that exists today is built on old programming, on thoughts and emotions you've repeated for years. And if you want to become someone new, if you want to create a reality beyond what you've known, you have to be willing to surrender everything you thought you were. That means stepping off the edge. Not blindly, not recklessly, but with the understanding that on the other side of fear is your freedom. This chapter is about that leap. Because once you learn to embrace the unknown, you become limitless. Here's why change is so hard. Your brain is wired for survival, not transformation. And survival depends on one thing, predictability. If your mind knows what to expect, it feels safe. If it doesn't, it panics. That's why people stay in jobs they hate, relationships that drain them, and patterns that no longer serve them. Because the pain of the known feels safer than the uncertainty of change. The ego is designed to cling to the familiar, even if that familiar thing is suffering. So when you try to step into something new, whether it's a different career, a bold decision, or a new way of thinking, your mind will flood you with doubt, resistance, and fear. Not because it's dangerous, but because it's unknown. But here's the truth. Everything you've ever wanted exists in the unknown. Growth, expansion, love, possibilities you've never imagined. So if you want to truly change, you have to rewire your relationship with uncertainty. Most people think transformation is about becoming something new. But in reality, it's about unbecoming everything that isn't you. It's about peeling away the layers of fear, conditioning, and old stories until all that's left is your purest, most authentic self. And to do that, you have to surrender your grip on who you think you are. Because the truth is, if you keep holding on to the same thoughts, the same beliefs, the same emotional patterns, you will keep creating the same life. Letting go of the old version of you isn't a loss, it's a rebirth. The question is, are you willing to let go? The reason most people feel stuck is because they live in survival mode, always preparing for the worst, overanalyzing every decision, clinging to control, reacting instead of creating. But survival mode keeps you locked in the past. Because when your mind is focused on avoiding danger, it can't open up to new possibilities. Creation mode, on the other hand, is where your power lies. In creation mode, you shift from fear to possibility. You focus not on what could go wrong, but on what could go right. You no longer wait for evidence. You become the evidence. So how do you switch? Let me show you. Step 1. Redefining the unknown. Fear of the unknown is really fear of losing control. But here's a radical idea. What if the unknown isn't something to fear, but something to trust? Think about it. Every great opportunity that changed your life, it came from the unknown. Every love, every breakthrough, every moment of joy came from something unexpected. So instead of saying, I'm afraid of what I don't know, try, I trust that what I don't know holds something amazing for me. Because the moment you stop resisting the unknown, you make space for new possibilities to enter. Step 2. Practicing surrender. Surrender doesn't mean giving up. Surrender means letting go of control over what you cannot control. Most people exhaust themselves trying to control everything, outcomes, timing, how others see them. But the truth is, the more you try to control things, the more resistance you create. So today, try this. Think about something you've been trying to control. A situation, a decision, an outcome. Take a deep breath and say, I surrender this. I trust that what's meant for me will come. Feel the weight lift. Let yourself relax into the flow instead of forcing. Because the moment you stop gripping the wheel so tightly, the road opens up. Step 3. Training yourself to live in the unknown. The more comfortable you get with uncertainty, the faster you transform. So here's a challenge. Do something today that makes you uncomfortable. Take a new route home. Start a conversation with someone you'd usually ignore. Say yes to an opportunity before you overthink it. Because every time you step into the unknown, even in small ways, you train your brain to trust it. And once your brain starts trusting the unknown, that's when magic happens. Right now, you are standing at a threshold. Behind you is the old self, the one who clings to certainty, who needs guarantees, who fears the unknown. Ahead of you is something different. Not just a new version of you, but a new way of being, where you no longer wake up trapped in the past, where you no longer react out of fear, where you no longer wait for permission to live the life you desire. The only thing standing between you and that reality, the willingness to step into the unknown. So take the leap, because on the other side, your future is waiting, and it's bigger than you've ever imagined. Chapter 7. Understanding the Quantum Field. Beyond the illusion of physical reality. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine holding a tiny object in your hand, a coin, a pebble, a grain of sand. Now, if I told you that this solid object, this thing that feels real beneath your fingers, is actually 99.99999% empty space, would you believe me? Because that is what quantum physics tells us. At the most fundamental level, everything in existence, every person, every object, even your own body, is made of vibrating energy, not solid matter. But we don't experience life this way. We experience walls, chairs, our hands, and our thoughts as tangible and fixed. We see cause and effect playing out, making us believe the world is predictable, linear, and mechanical. But what if the world doesn't work the way we think it does? What if reality is not something that happens to us, but something we are actively creating every moment with our consciousness? This isn't just philosophy. This is the science of the quantum field. And once you understand it, you'll never see reality the same way again. Everything in the universe is made of energy. From the atoms in your body to the stars in the sky, everything is vibrating at a specific frequency. Even your thoughts and emotions are not just internal experiences. They generate measurable electromagnetic waves that interact with the world around you. This is why a room can feel heavy when someone walks in full of anger, even if they don't say a word. You can sense when someone is staring at you from across the room. People who radiate confidence and joy seem to attract opportunities effortlessly. It's not magic. It's physics. The energy you carry, your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs, creates a frequency that signals the quantum field. And just like a radio, the frequency you broadcast determines what you tune into. This is why, if you constantly focus on lack, you tune into experiences that reinforce scarcity. If you live in a state of fear, you align with situations that trigger more fear. If you shift into gratitude and abundance, you start attracting opportunities that match that frequency. But how does this actually work? The answer lies in one of the most mind-bending discoveries in quantum physics, the observer effect. In the world of classical physics, we are taught that reality exists independently of us. But quantum mechanics has shattered that illusion. One of the most famous experiments in science, the double-slit experiment, proves that the act of observation itself changes reality. Here's what happened. Scientists took tiny particles of light, photons, and fired them through two slits in a barrier, expecting them to behave like tiny bullets. But when they measured what happened on the other side, they found something shocking. When the experiment was unobserved, the photons acted like waves, spreading out and passing through both slits at once, as if they existed in multiple places simultaneously. But the moment the scientists observed the photons, they collapsed into particles, taking on a single fixed position, no longer behaving like waves of infinite potential. In other words, reality existed as limitless possibilities until it was observed. The act of focusing on something forced it into existence. This discovery rocked the foundations of science because it means something profound. Reality doesn't happen to us. It responds to us. The implications of this are staggering. If reality shifts based on what we focus on, then our attention is not just passive. it is creative. This means the more you focus on struggle, the more struggle materializes in your life. The more you expect failure, the more your reality rearranges to confirm that expectation. The more you hold a vision of success, abundance, and joy, the more you pull that reality into form. This is why two people can go through the same event but experience completely different realities. One person sees loss. The other sees opportunity. One sees rejection. The other sees redirection. One sees limitation. The other sees infinite possibility. The difference is not what happens to them. The difference is where they focus their mind. Most people live in a cause and effect reality. They wake up every morning and react to life. They check their phone and see bad news, so they feel bad. They see their bank account is low, so they believe they're broke. They get ignored in a conversation, so they assume they are unworthy. In this state, their outer world controls their inner state. They wait for evidence to feel successful. They wait for a relationship to feel loved. They wait for money to feel abundant. And as long as they wait, they stay stuck. Because in a cause and effect world, you are a victim of circumstance. But there is another way to live. A way where you stop waiting for life to change before you feel different. Because you realize that feeling different is what changes life. This is called creating from the quantum field. And it starts with one shift. Instead of waiting for evidence, you create the feeling first. Instead of waiting for money to feel abundant, you embody abundance now. Instead of waiting for love to feel whole, you embody wholeness now. Instead of waiting for opportunities to arise, you start acting like the person who already has them. And as you do this, your electromagnetic field shifts. Your energy broadcasts a new signal. And reality, which is always responding to you, has no choice but to shift accordingly. Right now, you are standing at the edge of a massive realization. Reality is not fixed. Your past does not define you. Your circumstances are not set in stone. Everything is energy. Everything is in motion. And the moment you shift your focus, the moment you raise your vibration, the moment you choose a new frequency, your world begins to shift with you. The question is, will you keep waiting for evidence before you believe in something new? Or will you take the leap and start believing before you see it? Because the ones who master this, they don't wait for change. They create it. And in the next chapter, we're going to take it even deeper, learning how to consciously shift into the quantum field and step into the reality you desire. Because now that you understand the science, it's time to start using it. Let's go. Chapter 8, Becoming Nobody, Nowhere, in No Time. The paradox of becoming more by being less. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. You are sitting in complete stillness. There is no name, no past, no future. No goals to chase, no fears to wrestle with. You are not your body. You are not your mind. You are not even your thoughts. You are pure awareness. And in this space, where you are nobody, nowhere, in no time, something incredible happens. The constant mental noise that has followed you all your life, it fades into the background. The emotions that have clung to you, shaping your identity, they dissolve. The limitations, doubts, and fears that have defined your reality, they lose their grip. What's left? A vast, infinite presence. This is not emptiness. This is freedom. Because the moment you step beyond the identity of the self, you gain access to the field where anything is possible. This chapter is about that experience. About dissolving the boundaries of the self, stepping beyond time, and unlocking a reality where you are no longer bound by past limitations, but instead exist as pure potential. Most people believe their identity is fixed, a solid, unchangeable thing. This is who I am. This is just how my brain works. I've always been this way. But here's the truth. Your sense of self is not real. It is a mental construct, a story stitched together by your brain, based on memories, conditioning, and repeated thoughts. The reason this feels so real is because you've been telling yourself the same story for years. The story of your past. The story of your limits. The story of what you can and cannot do. But this story is not you. It is simply a mental program running in the background, shaping how you see yourself and the world. And the moment you stop identifying with it, you step into something far greater. Here's where it gets powerful. When you detach from your identity, when you become nobody, nowhere, in no time, your brain enters a different state of consciousness. A state where you are no longer bound by past experiences. Your emotions no longer dictate your reality. Your mind becomes completely open to new possibilities. This is where deep transformation happens. Because the version of you that exists today, the one that doubts, the one that struggles, the one that plays small, is built on past programming. But when you step beyond the self, you enter the quantum field, the space where unlimited potential exists. And in this space, you are not limited by your past. You are pure creation. So how do we get there? Through the most powerful tool we have, meditation. Most people think meditation is about relaxation. It's not. Meditation is about transcending identity. It's about breaking free from the known and stepping into the unknown, where true transformation begins. When you meditate deeply, something extraordinary happens. Your brainwaves shift from beta, thinking and analyzing, into theta, deep intuition and receptivity. Your sense of time dissolves. You are no longer trapped in past or future. The ego, the part of you that clings to old identities, fades away. And in this space, your mind becomes a blank canvas, a place where you can rewire your reality at the deepest level. This meditation is designed to take you beyond yourself. Try this. Step 1. Close the loop of the outside world. Find a quiet space. Close your eyes. Silence your phone. The goal is to detach from all external stimulation, because the more you disconnect from the outside world, the easier it is to connect with the quantum field. Step 2. Dissolve the body. Bring your attention to different parts of your body, starting from your feet and moving upward. Imagine them dissolving into pure energy. Feel yourself expanding beyond your physical form. Step 3. Forget your name, your story, your identity. Tell yourself, I am nobody. I am nowhere. I am in no time. Let yourself fade into the space of nothingness. At first, your mind will resist. Your ego will try to pull you back into thoughts, worries, memories. But stay with it. As you surrender deeper, you will begin to feel something incredible. Pure presence. A vast, infinite stillness. And in this space, your energy becomes one with the field of infinite potential. The more you practice this state, the more your brain rewires itself. Instead of operating from old habits and emotional cycles, your brain starts functioning in a new way, tuned into the frequency of creation. Signs you're moving into the quantum field. You feel a deep sense of oneness, as if you are connected to everything. You experience flashes of insight, inspiration, or clarity that seem to come from nowhere. You feel light, expansive, and limitless, as if you're no longer confined by the past. This is what the greatest mystics, visionaries, and spiritual leaders throughout history have tapped into. And now, you are learning to access it too. The mind will always try to pull you back into who you've been. It will tell you to cling to old identities. It will resist the unknown. But here's the truth. The unknown is where miracles happen. Because when you become nobody, nowhere, in no time, you are no longer a prisoner of your past. You are no longer bound by the limits of your identity. You are no longer waiting for change. You are the change. And the more time you spend in this space, the more you will realize. You were never just a person. You were always pure energy, infinite, limitless, capable of shaping reality in ways you never imagined. This is the doorway, and you have just stepped through it. Chapter 9. Activating the Future Self. The future already exists. Are you ready to step into it? Close your eyes and imagine the greatest version of yourself. The version of you that has already broken free. The one who no longer doubts, no longer hesitates, no longer clings to old patterns. This version of you wakes up feeling clear, confident, and aligned every day. They speak with certainty. They move with ease. They attract opportunities, relationships, and experiences effortlessly because they have become a vibrational match to the life they desire. This is not just a fantasy. This future self already exists. Not in some distant timeline, but right here, right now in the quantum field. The only reason you're not living that reality yet? You are still tuned into the frequency of your past self. And in this chapter, we're going to change that. We are going to activate your future self so that you stop waiting for change and start becoming the change. Because once you align your energy, thoughts, and emotions with the reality you desire, the universe has no choice but to match it. Here's a concept that will change everything for you. Time is an illusion. Your past, present, and future are not separate events happening in a straight line. According to quantum physics, every possible version of you already exists in the quantum field, right now. Think of it like a radio station. If you're currently tuned into the frequency of self-doubt, you experience a reality where struggle, hesitation, and limitation exist. If you shift to the frequency of abundance, confidence, and joy, you start experiencing a reality where success and alignment come naturally. Your future self, the one who has everything you desire, is already broadcasting on a higher frequency. The only thing you have to do, tune into that signal. Most people try to change their lives by thinking differently. They say affirmations. They set goals. They visualize. But nothing changes. Why? Because thought alone is not enough. Your body must believe it too. Right now, your body has been trained to wake up every morning and feel the same emotions as yesterday. If you've been practicing anxiety for years, your nervous system is addicted to stress. If you've been practicing self-doubt, your brain fires those same neural pathways automatically. If you've been practicing scarcity, your energy keeps signaling lack to the universe. So even if you think, I am confident, abundant, and free, but your body still wakes up feeling fear and doubt, you are still broadcasting the frequency of your past self, and your reality will keep reflecting it back to you. Step 1. Embodying the feeling of your future self. If you want to shift timelines, if you want to step into your future reality, you must feel it first. Here's how. Close your eyes and imagine the future you standing in front of you. Step into their energy. How do they feel? Confident? Free? Magnetic? Breathe in their frequency. Let their emotions flood your body until you feel them as if they are happening now. Move like them. Stand up. Walk around. Let your body memorize this new posture, expression, and energy. This isn't just visualization. This is neuroscience. The more you repeat this process, the more your brain rewires itself to match this new identity. And soon, you won't just be imagining your future self. You will be them. Step 2. Rewiring the brain to match your new identity. Your brain is a prediction machine. It uses past experiences to guess what will happen next, and then makes choices to keep you in familiar patterns. That's why, if you've been rejected before, your brain assumes rejection will happen again. If you've struggled financially, your brain expects financial struggle. If you've been in toxic relationships, your brain is wired to seek familiar dysfunction. But here's the good news. Your brain can be rewired. Neuroscience shows that your thoughts physically reshape the structure of your brain. Every time you repeat a thought, a neural connection is strengthened. And the more you focus on your future self, the more your brain starts making decisions based on that identity. Here's how to accelerate this process. The neural rewiring process. Morning activation. Upon waking, immediately step into your future self's energy. Feel their emotions before checking your phone or thinking about your day. Interrupt old patterns. Anytime an old thought arises, I'm not enough. Pause and replace it with your future self's belief, I am powerful beyond measure. Nighttime integration. Before sleeping, visualize yourself already living in your desired reality. The brain processes new patterns most powerfully right before sleep. With time, this rewiring process makes your new identity second nature. And once your brain starts believing it, reality follows. Step 3. Acting like your future self now. Here's a truth most people don't realize. You do not become your future self by waiting for life to change. You become your future self by embodying that person today. Ask yourself daily, how would my future self handle this situation? How would they speak? How would they move? What decisions would they make? Without hesitation. Then do it. Not tomorrow. Now. Because the moment you act as if you are already them, reality bends to match you. Your future self is not waiting for you in some distant timeline. They are here, right now, in the field of infinite potential, waiting for you to step into them. So the question is, will you keep tuning into the frequency of your past? Or will you finally shift and activate the future you? Because the moment you do, your life will never be the same. Chapter 10. Creating a new personal reality. You are not stuck, you are repeating patterns. Let's start with something radical. You are not trapped in your current life. You are not stuck in your old identity. You are simply repeating yourself, over and over again. The same thoughts lead to the same emotions. The same emotions lead to the same actions. The same actions lead to the same results. And then when life doesn't change, we assume, this is just the way things are. But that's not true. Life isn't happening to you. Life is responding to you. Your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors create a feedback loop, a self-reinforcing cycle that keeps you living in the same reality. So, if you want to change your reality, you don't start with your circumstances. You start with you. And that's exactly what we're going to do in this chapter. Break the loop, disrupt the old self, and finally embody the new one. Most people think transformation happens in big, dramatic moments. But real change, it happens in the small, seemingly insignificant choices you make every single day. Choosing to speak as your future self instead of your past self. Choosing to feel elevated emotions before external circumstances validate them. Choosing to act with confidence, even when fear whispers otherwise. These microshifts don't seem like much at first, but over time, they reprogram your entire identity. And once your identity shifts, your reality has no choice but to follow. Here's how the old self stays alive. You think the same thoughts. I'll never change. Those thoughts create familiar emotions. Doubt, fear, insecurity. Those emotions trigger automatic behaviors. Procrastination, hesitation, avoidance. Those behaviors reinforce your current reality. Nothing changes. That reality confirms your old beliefs. See? I knew it wouldn't work. And the cycle repeats. But what happens when you disrupt even one part of this loop? Everything starts to shift. So let's do it. Step 1. Upgrade your thoughts. Thoughts are not passive. They are instructions to your nervous system. Right now, your subconscious mind is scanning for evidence to prove your dominant thoughts right. If you think, I'm bad at relationships, your mind will ignore healthy connections and focus on signs of rejection. If you think making money is hard, your brain will resist opportunities that could lead to abundance. But when you consciously install new thoughts, you rewire what your brain expects from reality. Try this. Identify a limiting thought. Example, I never follow through with things. Flip it into a new command for your brain. I am someone who follows through, no matter what. Rehearse it daily. Your mind needs repetition to accept new beliefs as reality. At first, the new thought will feel like a lie. That's normal. But if you think it enough, your brain will start looking for proof of it. And that's when the shift begins. Step 2. Shift your emotional state before reality changes. Most people live in reaction mode. They wait for a relationship to feel loved. They wait for success to feel confident. They wait for money to feel abundant. But here's the truth. Your external world is a reflection of your internal world. If you keep waiting for reality to give you permission to feel different, you will be waiting forever. You must feel the emotion first. And then, like a magnet, your reality will rearrange to match it. How to shift your emotional state right now. Close your eyes. Imagine your future self. They already have the life you desire. How do they feel? Confident? Free? Powerful? Now breathe into that feeling. Let it fill your body. Hold it for 30 seconds. Open your eyes and carry that feeling into your day. If you do this every morning, your nervous system will start normalizing this new emotional state. And once your body believes it, reality follows. Step 3. Embody the new self in your daily choices. Your brain is always asking, who am I? How do I act? Right now, it bases that answer on past habits. But what if, instead of referencing the past, you started referencing your future self? Ask yourself daily, how would my future self handle this situation? What would they choose to focus on today? How would they respond to stress, setbacks, or opportunities? Then, act accordingly. Because the moment you start making choices from your future self's identity, you stop being the old self, and you become the new one. Step 4. Reinforce the new frequency with daily rituals. Every identity has rituals that sustain it. An unconfident person has habits of self-doubt. A financially struggling person has habits of scarcity. A healthy, thriving person has habits of self-care and empowerment. So if you want to embody a new identity, you need rituals that match it. Design your future self's daily rituals. Morning energy reset. Start your day feeling like your future self. High-frequency inputs. Consume books, music, and content that reinforce your new identity. Micro-bravery challenges. Do one small thing daily that pushes you beyond your comfort zone. Evening gratitude and visualization. Before bed, reflect on the day as if you are already your future self. These rituals program your subconscious mind, turning your future self's frequency into your new normal. Right now, you are at a crossroads. You can wake up tomorrow and repeat yesterday. Or you can wake up and create a new personal reality, one microshift at a time. Because identity is not something you're born with. It's something you practice. And the more you practice being your future self, the faster that version of you becomes real. The question is, will you keep waiting? Or Or will you finally step into the life you were meant to live? Because the moment you decide, reality will follow. Chapter 11. Surrendering to Synchronicity. The moment you stop forcing, life starts flowing. Think about the last time something effortlessly fell into place for you. Maybe it was a chance meeting with someone who changed your life. Maybe it was an opportunity that arrived just as you needed it. Maybe it was a sign, so precise, so perfectly timed, that you couldn't ignore it. Moments like these feel like magic. But they aren't magic. They are evidence of synchronicity, the hidden order behind what seems like randomness. Most of us spend our lives forcing things into place, trying to control outcomes, obsessing over every step of the process. But here's the paradox. The more you try to force reality, the more resistance you create. It's like swimming upstream, exhausting, frustrating, and often unsuccessful. But the moment you let go, the moment you surrender, reality begins to align for you. Things click into place. People, opportunities, and ideas start showing up. Life becomes flow instead of friction. And it's not an accident. It's how the quantum field responds when you release control and trust the greater intelligence of the universe. This chapter is about making that shift, about stepping out of forceful action and into effortless alignment. Because once you learn to surrender, life starts unfolding in ways you never imagined. Most people have been conditioned to believe, if I don't control everything, things will fall apart. If I don't take massive action, nothing will happen. If I let go, I will lose everything. But this is the biggest illusion of all. Because the harder you push, the more resistance you create. Think of a clenched fist. Tight, rigid, trying to hold onto something so tightly it can't breathe. Now imagine an open palm. Relaxed, receptive, allowing life to place what is meant to be there. Which one do you think the universe can work with? The old model of reality says, set a goal. Work harder than everyone else. Push, grind, hustle your way to success. And while effort has its place, the highest form of creation doesn't come from force. It comes from alignment. When you are in alignment, things happen with ease. The right people find you. The right opportunities emerge. The right path reveals itself, without you having to struggle. This is not inaction. This is allowing the quantum field to rearrange reality on your behalf. But in order for that to happen, you must surrender the illusion of control. Step 1. Recognizing the signs, the language of synchronicity. The universe is always communicating with you. But most people don't notice, because they are too focused on their own expectations. They are so fixated on how things should unfold that they ignore the signs guiding them to something better. Synchronicities are like quantum breadcrumbs, hints from the field showing you that you are in alignment. Common signs of synchronicity. Repeating numbers, 1111, 333, 777, appearing in unexpected places. Random encounters with people who have the exact advice or resources you need. Overhearing a conversation or reading something that answers a question you've been asking. A sudden intuitive nudge that leads you somewhere, and something profound happens. Doors closing unexpectedly, only to reveal something even better. These are not coincidences. They are reality shifting, rearranging itself to match your energy. Step 2. The art of letting go. The hardest part of surrender is trusting that things are happening, even when you can't see them yet. This is where most people struggle. Because when they don't see immediate results, they panic. They fall back into control mode. They start forcing things again. But here's the truth. The universe is always working behind the scenes. Your only job is to stay in alignment and get out of the way. How to surrender without losing momentum. Set the intention, then let it go. Decide what you want, feel it fully, then stop obsessing over how it will happen. Say, I trust that what's meant for me is already on its way. Follow the energy, not the plan. If something feels forced, step back. If something feels light, expansive, and exciting, move toward it. Detach from the outcome. Instead of clinging to a specific result, trust that the best version of your desire is being orchestrated. Release resistance through gratitude. Shift from why isn't it happening to I am already receiving everything I need. The more you trust, the faster things align. Because doubt slows down manifestation, certainty accelerates it. Step 3. Moving from action to inspired action. Surrender does not mean doing nothing. It means acting in alignment with what feels right, not forcing things out of fear. There is a difference between forceful action, trying to make things happen because you're afraid they won't. Inspired action, moving when you feel a pull, when doors open naturally, when the timing aligns effortlessly. How to know if you're taking inspired action. It feels exciting, effortless, and natural. It feels like life is supporting you instead of resisting you. You feel pulled toward it instead of forcing it. You aren't doing it out of fear or desperation. When you take action from this state, you collapse time. Things that once took years happen in weeks. Because when you stop chasing, what you desire starts chasing you. Right now, you are learning something that will change how you move through life forever. You don't have to struggle. You don't have to control everything. You don't have to micromanage your manifestations. All you have to do is stay in alignment and trust. Because when you do, life will unfold in ways you couldn't have planned even if you tried. Synchronicities will increase. Opportunities will appear. Everything will start clicking into place. And you will realize it was never about force. It was always about flow. The question is, are you ready to let go and receive? Because the moment you do, the entire universe moves for you. Chapter 12. Living as the Quantum Self. You are not becoming, you are remembering. There comes a moment in transformation where you realize you are not creating a new identity. You are not becoming something different. You are remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. This entire journey, breaking free from the past, dissolving limiting beliefs, stepping into the quantum field, has not been about adding something new. It has been about stripping away everything that is not you. The fear, the programming, the self-doubt, the limitations you unknowingly accepted as truth. And now, standing here, you are left with something profound. Pure awareness, pure potential, pure creation. This is what it means to live as the quantum self. No longer ruled by past conditioning. No longer waiting for external proof before shifting your reality. No longer seeing yourself as separate from the infinite possibilities surrounding you. Because you don't just exist in the quantum field. You are it. And now, the only question is, how do you maintain this state every day? That's what this chapter is about. Not just glimpsing the quantum self, but living it. Because once you do, everything aligns. For most of your life, you've been taught a limited way of existing. You are your past. You're not. You are your body. You're more. Reality is fixed. It's fluid. Change is hard and slow. It's not. But now you know. Reality is a reflection of energy. And the moment you shift your frequency, everything around you reconfigures to match it. Want abundance? Become the energy of abundance first. Want deep love? Embody that love within yourself first. Want effortless success? Step into the version of you that already has it. Most people live in reaction to life. You are now stepping into creation. And this is how you maintain that frequency, no matter what. Step 1. Staying in an expanded state of consciousness. The challenge with transformation is that it's easy to feel limitless when you're meditating, visualizing, or deeply inspired. But what about in the middle of normal life? When you're stuck in traffic? When someone triggers an old emotional response? When things don't unfold exactly how you expected? The quantum self doesn't waver, because it no longer gets pulled into the illusion of limitation. How to maintain an expanded state daily. Check your energy before anything else. Before checking your phone or engaging with the outside world, check in with yourself. Are you operating from your quantum self or your conditioned mind? Interrupt the old identity immediately. If you feel yourself reacting in an old way, fear, doubt, stress, pause. Take a breath. Step back. Shift your frequency before continuing. Practice the already there technique. Before making decisions or reacting, ask, how would my future self handle this? Then act accordingly. Stay in the body, not just the mind. Transformation isn't just mental, it's felt in the body. Walk, move, and breathe like your quantum self. Recognize that every moment is a portal. Every interaction, every decision, every challenge is an opportunity to choose alignment over old patterns. See life as a game, testing how well you can hold your new energy. The more you practice this, the more your quantum self becomes your default. Step 2. Becoming an energetic match for abundance, love, and infinite possibilities. Most people think they will feel successful once they succeed. They will feel love once they meet the right person. They will feel abundant once they have money. But in the quantum field, it's the opposite. You must become the frequency first. Then, reality catches up to meet you. How to align with the energy of what you want. Feel it first, before any evidence exists. Instead of waiting for something to happen, generate the feeling now. The brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality, so make the feeling real. Speak and act from that reality. Stop saying I hope or I want. Start saying I am. Look for proof that it's already happening. Synchronicities, opportunities, shifts, notice them. The more you acknowledge them, the more they multiply. Detach from the how. Your job is to align your energy. The universe's job is to orchestrate the details. Once you start embodying these shifts daily, you become an unstoppable force. Step 3. The final shift, living in the field of infinite possibilities. The quantum self is not afraid. It does not doubt. It does not overanalyze. It does not wait. It knows. It trusts. And it moves through life as if everything is always working out in its favor. Because it is. When you stop limiting yourself to what seems logical or probable, and instead step into the infinite field, you will start experiencing miracles as your new normal. How to know you are fully living as the quantum self. You no longer chase, you attract effortlessly. You feel a deep trust in the unfolding of life. You see synchronicities everywhere, confirming your alignment. You no longer react to old triggers, you observe them without attachment. You wake up feeling free, limitless, and powerful. This is not theory. This is your new reality. The biggest illusion is thinking this is a process. It's not. Your quantum self already exists. The only thing that ever needed to happen was for you to remember. And now that you have, there is no going back. You are awake. You are aligned. You are the creator of your reality. And from this moment forward, you will never live the same way again. The infinite potential within you. You were never becoming. You were always unfolding. Take a deep breath. Now, look back at the journey you've taken through these pages. You began with an identity shaped by conditioning, experiences, and subconscious programming, an identity that felt fixed, solid, and real. But something has shifted. You now see that who you thought you were was never the full picture. You now understand that your past does not define you, and reality is not something you react to. It is something you create. You now feel something you may have forgotten long ago. The infinite potential within you. Because this journey wasn't about becoming something new. It was about unbecoming everything that was never truly you. Transformation is often thought of as a single moment, a final breakthrough where everything clicks into place. But if you've learned anything through this journey, it's this. There is no final version of you. You are not a fixed identity, moving from point A to point B in a straight line. You are pure potential, endlessly unfolding. Every moment, you have the power to shift. Every breath, you can choose a new reality. Every day, you are evolving into higher and higher states of being. And this means something profound. There is no need to wait. Not for permission. Not for circumstances to be perfect. Not for the right time to step into your highest self. The time is now. Because everything you need to create your reality is already here. And the only thing that ever held you back was the belief that you were anything less than limitless. This book has given you the tools, the insights, and the shifts to break free from the old self. But now a question remains. Will you integrate it? Will you wake up tomorrow and go back to old habits, old thoughts, old limitations? Or will you wake up as the quantum self, choosing, moment by moment, to exist in a new frequency? The choice is always yours, because you are no longer waiting for change. You are the change. One final thought before you step into the next chapter of your life. The version of you that is abundant, free, and limitless, they are not out there in the future. They are already within you, waiting for you to step into alignment with them. So trust, expand, let go of everything that does not serve you. And above all, live fully, unapologetically, as the limitless being you were always meant to be. Because you are not just existing in the quantum field. You are it. And from this moment forward, you will never see life the same way again. You've reached the end of this book, but you have not reached the end of your journey. In fact, you are standing at the threshold of something far greater. Because now you know the truth. There was never anything to become. There was only everything to remember. You were never small. You were never broken. You were never meant to live in limitation. The illusion was simply forgetting that you are already infinite. Now with each breath, with each thought, with each choice, you decide who you are. Not based on your past. Not based on fear. Not based on what the world has told you is possible. But based on the limitless field of creation that has always existed within you. So take this moment. Feel the weight of old limitations falling away. Feel the expansion of infinite possibility unfolding before you. And step forward, not as the person you were, but as the boundless creator you have always been. This is not the end. This is the beginning of everything.